about I introduce you and you introduce me?
Oh boy.
Kind of sweet.
We were just talking about how hard that was for
It is
our
hard.
other partner, Diana, because our third partner, Diana, her boyfriend is in Tactical Girls as well, and we had a moment where she had to talk about her partner, Ted Dykstra, and it was really difficult for her. It was really interesting to watch how often it turned into a joke, or how often she was like, "Oh, I can't do this. What do I call him? Ted Dykstra? What do I do?" Because he's also like a theater legend, and he's a pretty big deal. And so, the taking the piss out of him balanced with him being in like heritage moments we grew up on. It's like there's a lot going on there for someone in their 30s.
Also, it was awkward because she couldn't help making like really personal jokes talking about him, because we also know him, we're friends with them, and they were like, we can't put this on the internet. Like you have to really be careful.
Yeah.
What you say.
The internet is a cruel place.
Yeah, and it remembers.
It
The
does.
internet
Yeah.
remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll introduce you if you'd like.
Okay, good, because then I'll know what you mean by that, and then
All
I
right.
can introduce you. Okay, we'll just all
And
introduce
then,
each other.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So Melissa D'Agostino is a writer, actor, and producer of theater as well as filmed entertainment, and now the first web series that she's written, she also stars in and produces.
That was very nice.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
good.
Okay. Matthew Campagna is an independent filmmaker and writer and director, and has also written for companies like the Sci-Fi Channel and Sony. And his web series, well, it's not your first, you've done many, but he co-produced and co-wrote and directed Tactical Girls. He's also my husband.
Yay! And now do you want to do our intro? I'm Kat,
And I'm Heath.
and you're listening to
The Ramble.
There you go.
Was that okay the way you did
It
that?
was really beautiful. It was like,
Felt a lot
wow.
of
It was like if there was an interpretive dance to mirror that.
I could do that.
I would-
But this
Which works
is
so
not.
well on radio.
I know.
It absolutely
I'm
does.
doing it right now.
Descriptive text as we're dancing.
Yeah.
So you know what's really funny is I met you guys. I don't know if it was very early on in your dating.
Yeah. This is right after Myth.
It was at
Yeah.
Myth.
It was like a month. Not
We've
less
been
than
dating
a
for
month.
a month, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. It was very early, and now we're married. So
And now
yeah,
we're married.
it's been a pretty impressive haul.
You're a lucky charm.
I am obviously. I hear it a lot. But so you know, you guys. One of the things that's super cool about, and I don't want to just focus on your relationship, but you guys have had a seriously creative relationship. Like every time, you guys have done so much cool stuff together, and I think that's really really awesome. Well, tell me some of your secrets.
Well, it's funny. One of the very first things that we did with great trepidation was introduce one another to our own art. And so in the first 2 weeks of dating you, got to see one of your live shows that was ironically titled Melissa D'Agostino Breaks Up With You, which I was like,
Which was
okay,
in his calendar.
is this just a thing that she does after dating someone for 2 weeks? Put on a show called Melissa D'Agostino Breaks Up With You, and it looked pretty hilarious in my calendar because I knew in
I'm
advance.
just letting you know what you have to look forward to.
Yeah.
The preview.
That's right. This is how it's gonna go down.
Yeah. And then with great trepidation, I showed you a short film that was in a film festival in Toronto that year. And we were equally worried that the other would like our work as we were that we would like the others.
Yeah.
Because if you fall in love with somebody and their art is crap, and you have to tell them that their art is not crap for the rest of your lives, that would be a big pain.
Or if it's not your thing too.
Yeah.
Like if it's just not your thing and you can't relate on that level. Like we both really wanted to relate to each other on that level, but we were both so nervous that we wouldn't be able to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was tense. Watching the movie, your short film, I was like, oh, please, I want to really like this. I hope I like this. And I did.
And I loved your live show.
Yeah.
It was one of the funniest things I've seen in my life. And so since then, we realized, hey, we can totally make stuff together, maybe. And so we tried. Within the first month of dating, we made a wacky little short film / political PSA making fun of Kashi. And yeah, that went really well for us on a creative level. And then the video went nice and viral, so we were quite happy with it all around. And we thought, maybe we have a future after all.
And I remember remember you guys also did on the chocolate. The Kinder Egg?
Oh, yes.
Kinder Surprise.
For
that
girls.
One, that was very good.
Yeah,
that was
thank you.
Awesome.
Which is still, I think, one of our most viral
Yeah.
sensations ever. That thing has done like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views around the world, and is very popular in Pakistan,
For some
which
reason.
is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
it's nice
Well,
to
there
make
is
a difference somewhere.
burgeoning like women's movement there. There's quite a
And also anti Kinder Egg. Just random like
Yeah,
anti
yes,
chocolate.
they're like,
just,
forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Kinder Egg.
Down with Ferrero.
That's when I learned that Kinder Egg is actually not a thing in the States. You're not allowed to have it because of some
Because
old
they
law.
can, because and also did you know that you can't bring them in it's like a security thing in the airports? Like you
Oh
can,
yeah,
I didn't know this.
It's a contraband. It's
Yes.
a contraband item due
choking
to some
hazard or
wacky.
something like that.
Yeah.
You can also like, rewire things with it if you're MacGyver.
There you go.
There was that great magazine article where the little girl, she's holding a Kinder Egg and a machine gun, so it's only one of these is illegal in schools.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw a great photo yesterday or this morning of like a handgun and somebody loading the handgun with a Snickers, and the headline was "How to Sneak Candy into the Movie Theater." Just stick it in your gun.
That's-
And I was like, wow. It's
Dark,
a very
but accurate.
dark but
Yeah.
funny and potent image. Like,
We've gone to a dark place.
we have, sorry guys. Satire's gonna
And
do
also
it.
now I'm strangely hungry.
For
Well,
a
Snickers really satisfies.
Good.
Oh, is this sponsored by Snickers?
Yeah, we should.
Give us stuff.
That's right.
So what was it like the first time you guys worked together directing and writing?
It was a little
nerve-wracking.
extra nerve-wracking,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because it's hard enough to try to make something great, but to try to make something great and also do it in a way that you hope keeps a relationship on track, it just adds a whole extra level of complexity. Although it turned into something that was really easy, and ever since then, every project we've done, whether it was singing Les Miserables, wearing mutton chops,
That was really awesome.
Thanks.
or if it was having you blindfolded on the set of a feature film, it doesn't really matter. We've been working together in ways that are difficult but work really well.
We do have certain boundaries that we keep. Like when we were working on, we made a film. Matt directed and wrote a film last year that I was in, and we had to make certain rules around, like, we're not going to talk about the movie during dinner, and we're not going to, Matt's not going to talk to me about my process unless it's, with other actors. And like, it was a really specific way we had to deal with it, so that your life doesn't become this mix of everything with no boundaries, because that can be really challenging.
Yeah, it's hard to keep a relationship feeling like a relationship if it bleeds over into work at all times with no rules. So being able to say, yeah, there's a bit of a moratorium when we're eating. We'll talk about something else. It's nice because, especially as the director of a film, it's all that's going through my head until it's finished. So it's a good exercise for work-life balance.
So tell me about Tactical Girls. Where did the idea come from? How did you get there? Did you guys look at each other and were like, okay, this is actually going to happen? It's going to be a web series. How did you decide on the format and everything?
Well, it's been a long time, sort of long gestation from the original spark of the idea, which actually happened before Matt was even in my life. Our other co-creator and co-writer, and who's also in the series, Diana Bentley, and I have been friends for years, and we actually produce theater together as well. And she and I were out at the bar after an acting class, and we just started chatting about this idea of these women who dress up in tactical gear and camo and like run missions that aren't actually tactical missions. Like, they're not in the army, they're not, like, they just do it to like work out their aggression. And we saw a calendar, I think, or like some sort of image of a woman in like camo underwear and like guns, and we were like, what is this? So we were really intrigued by it. We had a totally different idea about what it would be, and we threw around the ideas, and she was writing a play, and that was sort of a part of it, and it went through lots of different stages of just creative idea before we ever decided we would actually make it. And then I met Matt, and Matt and I started collaborating together, and I don't know what
Pretty early on, the idea of Tactical Girls was something that, one of my strengths is structure. And so I can look at a really neat, wacky, formless idea and build some bones to support it. And so early on, Mel and Diana and I were bandying around the idea of building some structure around this Tactical Girls idea. And then it went to sleep for a bit, and we worked on a bunch of stuff. And then we went back to it, and we decided to write something, and we built in this sort of trucking angle. And these 3 women who work in a trucking company and have this militant, horrible boss that they just... They need to take the power back from time to time, because they feel so powerless at their office. And the great thing about truckers is that they are the most crass people you can imagine. So these 3 women couldn't be more crass, and they couldn't be more just hilarious in the office. And then when you deck them out in their tactical outfits, and one of them, we've played around with the idea that she actually was a Green Beret. And so there's this sort of game of telephone that happens where you have one of them that's really well trained, and one of them that is kind of well trained, and one of them who is terribly trained. And so the way that the 3 of them play together, it's got a real Three Stooges but women kind of vibe.
Cool. Very cool. I saw your campaign on Kickstarter, and I laughed out loud.
Yes.
And then we supported you. And
Yes.
then I'd like to, absolutely tell everybody to get there. Tell me a little bit about some of the other people that you're bringing on.
Well, it's amazing because we wrote it with one person in particular in mind, this actress Maria Vakratzis.
Right,
Who's,
yes.
again, another legend of theater, and has done TV film, was in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and is just an incredible actress, and also like an amazing person who just says yes to things and supports people and wants to be a part of interesting projects. So we wrote the boss character with her in mind, never really knowing if we would even ever have how we would approach that, other than going through her agent, but of course you never know. And then Diana ran into her at a reading, because Diana does readings for films and TV shows, and just asked her. And she said yes, like just the snap of a finger. And so so she's been an amazing person to work with.
And then our 3rd Tactical Girl that we brought on, Nicole Stamp. Early on, we knew that we wanted Nicole to be that 3rd Tactical Girl. And she's really well known now from a series she did called Carmilla. She was in the 2nd season. The 1st season went like gangbusters, and the 2nd one has just grown even more. Shaftesbury does that, Smoke Bomb Shaftesbury, and it's wonderful to have people who bring with them their own genre appeal and their own sensibilities, because we also got Christian Brune on board from Orphan Black, and so we've got these wonderfully talented comedic actors who also exist in their own little sphere of the genre world. So Tactical Girls manages to have a foot in all these different fandoms, and I think that's just going to broaden the appeal immediately to a project like this.
Mm-hmm. Really cool. What age group wise, who do you find is responding the most?
Well, it's funny because it's designed to make younger women recognize power that all people have. And it's hilarious because we have a degree of cursing and crassness in this that you would only find in South Park. Like, it is all the way filthy.
There's a lot of
and so in the way that it is aimed for and inappropriate for younger audiences, it's gonna really bounce well off that demographic. But it is aimed for pretty much everyone that finds ridiculous, crass humor hilarious. I have a 60-year-old aunt who loves Jackass. That just happened.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
That's
yeah, she's the market. Like, she's going to be all over Tactical Girls. Those are the kind of people who have that sensibility. It's not an age group. It's not a gender. It's a sensibility that we're going for. And it has a very wide sensibility as a result.
Mm-hmm. You're like really quiet.
Well, I've just been listening. The big question I had actually goes back to the beginning. So what is it like when the two of you are not working together but working on separate projects? Like, how do you make the relationship work there? Because it's one of the things that Kat and I find a problem with. It's like, she'll be working on something, I'm working. I want to know how they do it because, professional working artistic couple, and it's hard when you're pulled in two different directions. So
Two on your face? Is this the moment where that happens? That is a challenge.
we do frequently find a way to incorporate each other's skills, even in projects that we're not partnering on.
We do,
Whether it's a play that you are producing and spearheading, and you decide to bring me on as a graphic designer or a campaign producer, like little things here and there. It's funny to see which one of us becomes the boss in different scenarios.
Right.
Because sometimes I'm working for her, sometimes she's working for me, sometimes we're just working in partnership. It's an interesting balance.
Well, and also sometimes I just recently wrote on helped work on a film script and punch it up a bit. And even then, like, I was writing, and every once in a while I'd be like, I want to bounce this off you. Does this play? And we would chat through the beat and of the story. And so I think there are elements of collaboration even when we're working on separate projects. The hard thing is when we're apart. So when Matt was making a movie for the Sci-Fi Channel last year, just before our wedding actually, that was tough because that was 5 weeks of actually being in different provinces and not being able to be together.
And planning a wedding.
Yeah, so there was a lot of, and it being, winter for you in Calgary.
Yeah. Oh, it was thawing out nicely in Toronto, and it was still kneecap high snow in the Chinooks of.
You're like, where are these Chinook winds I heard a lot about?
That's
What's
right.
going on?
So that's tricky, and we've sort of we try to make it so that we only a certain amount of time goes by before we see each other, but that's not always possible. And
But it's something we now build into plans going forward. That 5 weeks apart, we thought, okay, never again quite like this, and so I'm going to be doing some more work. It looks like for those guys out west. And if I do, part of the plan is building into that potentially 5 months away, that we will be seeing each other a lot during that time, because now we know how we need it, and it's a learning curve.
That's really neat though, because it's true. It's knowing you can't define the scope of what you need to work on in a relationship until you've actually gone through it. You know what I mean? And until you identify something that has. Well, it's true. Don't look at me like that.
I'm smiling.
What? Don't smile at me.
No one knows how I'm looking at you.
Everybody knows now.
no, you've characterized this all.
How was he looking at her?
Stop interpretive dancing. No, I mean it's true. It's really interesting, and people forget that you can't like write a manual on how to deal with relationships until you mess up, until something goes pear shaped, and then you go, okay, hold on a second.
Yep.
How are we going to fix this? How are we going to do this again?
Yeah,
and especially I find with creative stuff it is hard because you don't want to. They're two passions, right? Like you have your passion, which is your creative living, and then you have your passion, which is your partner. And it's got to happen together. It just has to.
Yeah, and it's lovely when you can incorporate both together, but when it's not there's not a natural way to do it, you just have to make it happen because it's not going to fix itself.
Is there anything you will never do together again?
I mean, there are people we know that we don't want to work with again, and we've both decided together, like, that was an interesting experience. Let's not repeat that.
Yes.
But that's about it. We tend to have the same instincts on people when we're like, okay, these people are maybe new at this. Let's give them a go. And partway through, we're like, no, they don't know what they're doing, or I don't like the way they do that. And we have almost never been in a situation where one of us was like, yeah, that was awesome, and the other one just thought, no, terrible. We tend to be on the same page in that way.
Yeah, which is good. We never want to go through an entire winter in Toronto together again.
Oh, it's terrible.
Well, we don't want to go through it apart either, I guess, but
We want to make sure we have a break.
Yeah.
Because we tend to work through our summers, because that's when it's the best time to shoot. That's when it's the best time to be putting on plays, because that's when, the pedestrian traffic happens. It's a great time to be working on stuff, but as soon as you hit the dead of winter, we tend to see things slow down a bit. And so, Christmas and Hanukkah tend to shoot Hollywood full of tranquilizers for a good 5 weeks there. So we'd like to make sure that every January 1st, we're somewhere else if we can afford to be somewhere
Caribbean
more.
writing break.
Exactly. Tax dodge.
That's the dream.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's the dream.
It's a retreat.
Yeah.
We're doing business. We just happen to be in Jamaica.
Hey, virtual teams.
Yep.
There we go.
That's
the
right.
best thing in the world. It is the best. You can work anywhere now. Do you guys find that do you have business hours that you stick to, or do you
Never.
No.
We're terrible at that.
We're really bad at
night
that.
owls? Are you
We're-
night owls?
No, actually, we tend to go to bed fairly early.
We're good at going to bed around midnight.
Yeah.
We don't usually push it past midnight, but we haul our asses out of bed as early as we
Early,
can to make
yeah.
sure that we have a good 18 to 20 hours to work on any given day, which is brutal, but it's, Saturdays and Sundays, it doesn't matter. We're working every day that ends in Y.
That's like being a parent.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a weekend.
Yeah.
And when you have a creative baby, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's
You're just
it,
always
yeah.
on. You're always kind
Yeah.
of yeah.
We have tried to get better at it. We've tried to mandate. Like this summer, we went to the X one day, and we were like, "We're not working
What?
today.
That's
we're going to
crazy,
the
you guys.
exhibition."
You went one day
Yeah.
without working.
Yeah, right. We're
Well,
trying to like.
I took a business call at the X.
Oh, you did take a business call.
No.
Okay, I lied.
No.
So there's
Yeah.
never.
So even
No.
we try, and really
Yeah.
trying is what matters.
Yes.
Well, you can lock a business project in the closet. No one looks at me twice.
What?
Flip.
Oh yeah,
As
babies.
opposed to your
Babies.
Oh, I
child.
was like, what? Oh, but I did that. What? No, nothing. I didn't.
That was me being witty. Don't look at me like that.
They're looking at each other very
Weirdly.
strangely.
I know. And again with the interpretive dance.
Well, it doesn't help that Kat's cross-eyed, so you never know where she's looking.
I'm not. You
You're
just
not.
looked. You made her look.
I looked
Why would
deep
you do
into
that?
your eyes. No, I didn't look because of that
It
comment.
totally.
Yeah, I did. I looked.
You
totally
did?
at
Okay,
that. I was
well.
like, wait a minute, I've never noticed. No, he was
She's
kidding.
not.
Now I am. I'm just thinking. I just had this weird. I was looking at the Tactical Girls, like the logo, the really cute illustration. Did you do this?
Yeah.
I love that. Did you ever? Had you ever guys talked about maybe doing sort of a graphic novel or something like that? Have you ever been inspired to do something like that?
Well, it's funny. There's an opening sequence that we've toyed with making that involves a lot of like rotoscoped, computer-generated green screen work, and it would sort of land at the end with the image that I've drawn. So there is some like cool secondary media that we're playing around with, and because I grew up on comic books and I'm currently wearing
I
a lot
love
of
it.
comic book characters,
Very many.
all female, all Joss Whedon. I have a tendency to sort of think in graphic novels. I storyboard all my own stuff, and so there's very rarely a project that I work on that I don't think, now how does this animate?
That's a very good point. Yeah, we tend to joke about thinking in film. It's like this guy thinks in film all the time. It drives me nuts sometimes because I'll be like, hey, you know what? What if there was like a coffee cup and it was sitting in a saucer? And he's like, well, in what act is the coffee cup getting filled? That doesn't make any sense. There's no conflict. And I'm like, what? And then it's really annoying. So yeah, no, I understand. It's really cool. It's good though. I think it's a language among.
Yeah.
I don't want to generalize and say all geeks think in film, but really, we're quite creative that
I
way.
think it's one of the things about growing up with comic books.
With
is
comic
you-
books,
you-
yeah.
Absolutely.
Unbeknownst to anyone, it's like you're reading a storyboard.
Yeah.
So
You are.
when it comes time to visualize any type of filming, it's okay. You put the comic book together in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, it's that I grew up as a dancer, and like so. For me, I tend to see things in physical placement and image, like in a frame.
That's so cool.
That's how a lot of ideas come to me. That's how a lot of comedy comes to me. Like the physical comedy of things is like very much something I visualize in certain beats.
Choreography.
Yeah. So, which I think is it's a very symbiotic relationship
Yeah.
with a panel or a,
Yeah, it
you know,
is.
So.
Absolutely. That's so how long were you dancing?
Oh, I danced my whole childhood into my teenage years, and actually started choreographing. Sort of was never going to be a professional dancer. I never really had the like feet or the all the aesthetic things that are required of being in that world, or at least were when I was growing up. I think now it's a little bit different with hip hop and sort of street dance and a lot of different and also
parameters.
like
It's-
a different kind of body perspective in the world than
Yeah.
It
when we
was
were growing
very
up.
restrictive before my parents were dancers, and it was very like crazy,
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous.
Shaped like this or else.
Shaped
Yeah.
like this, and step on a scale every morning, and like it's like just absolutely ridiculous for self-esteem for both men and women. Absolutely, so horrible and rigid. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's. I'm really glad you got out of that because
Oh yeah, no, it was never
I
a
know.
thing I kind of knew. But I had a dance company with my friend Christina Prinzo when I was 17.
That's amazing.
And we did shows and we like made flyers and like did the Woodbridge Fair. And,
Did you do any choreography to Paula Abdul songs?
Yeah, in fact, not as a teenager, but as an adult. With my friend Kristen McGregor, who actually was the inspiration, or one of the people who came up with the Kinder
was a part of
Surprise
Kinder
video.
Surprise, yeah.
She plays my daughter in the video.
Yes.
She and I used to play these two characters, Sally and Brenda from Baffin Island, who would do this tourism presentation, and it would descend into an argument about our friendship, and then we would dance to What Have You Done For Me Lately? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Which is actually Janet
Janet
Jackson,
Jackson.
but Paula Abdul
Abdul,
choreographed
yes.
and was in it, so I count
It's
that.
like it all comes back to
Right.
Paula Abdul choreography. I mean,
Pretty
you can
much.
start anywhere, and that's where it ends up.
Yeah.
Tactical Girls.
Paula.
Abdul.
Yeah. There's
Highly.
definitely.
Yeah.
Comic
It's definitely
books?
inspired.
Paula
That's right. Graphic novels. Paula
That's
Abdul.
Stanley.
Canadian politics. Paula Abdul.
Stanley, no.
Canadian
politics.
politics. Yeah. Paula Abdul.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is. So
I think if you look at Cold Hearted Snake closely, you'll see a lot of Stephen Harper's economic
I think
policies in
actually
there.
Yes.
that's very true.
Yeah.
You can do his
Well,
eyes.
I mean-
He's been telling
Certainly,
lies.
certainly
right.
his foreign
He's a lover
He's a
boy
lover
pain.
boy from play. He don't play by rules
No.
is actually very true. Guys, it's political now.
It's fine. Different places.
All right, so that is part one of our amazing interview.
With Matt Campagna and Melissa D'Agostino.
So please check them out on Kickstarter. You have a couple days left to support their wonderful project, their post-production that they've got going on their wonderful series. Tactical Girls. It is hilarious.
It's so well written and,
Yeah.
and well crafted, and the team, they're an amazing team.
Yes. So part two, coming along soon.
Because it goes on forever because we're awesome, and also we might have a new couples crush. That
Yeah.
sounds weird. Okay, creative.
Let them think what they will. All right. Ramble on, everyone.
Ramble on.